There's actually another chair. Chair right here.
First time Americans. These large scale models.
Oh, yes.
That one side we have questions on, it's being refreshed anything.
Oh, okay.
That one book you signed that we-
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hi. How are you?
What's your name?
My name is Lisa Thacker.
Lisa Taylor. Do you mind afterwards I will check you in.
Okay, sure, that'll be fine. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Z. Nice to see y'all again, and for some of you, first time meeting you, nice to meet you in person. Thank you for joining us this evening. We really appreciate that you really make the time out of an evening, especially on this very sunny day, to join us. Just want to make sure our Zoom attendees, Dan, you can hear us clearly.
Yep.
Perfect. And if you, you're welcome to chime in during the meeting as well. So today's agenda is over here. Can everyone see? I'm doing something and I forgot to bring it. What is it? So today's agenda is mainly going through some existing projects that have been completed and also some that are upcoming, as well as some vandalism concerns and just a quick review of how the park season has been in the past few months. It is on paper outside, and if you don't have a copy, I can give it to you later. So we'll go along with the presentation first. During any point in time, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and we can address it there. So we'll start with the good news, which is complete. Baseball diamond renovation complete. There was a new backstop, bleachers, fencing, and pitcher's mound regrading around the diamond. I'm not a baseball person, so I have no idea what this is. Hopefully, those of you who play baseball are happy with this improvement. And the next update is on the perimeter security project. So this one here, it's mainly made up of boulders and bollards. Boulders are rocks, which is like this. This is a photo of the project that was implemented at MLK Park. Bollards, I don't have a photo, I couldn't find one at the last minute, but bollards are a black pillar kind of thing, probably around this height. And those are locked to the ground, but they can be removed based on a special event permit or a construction vehicle as needed. But the main purpose of the bollards and the boulders is a safety measure because of the consistent vehicular traffic that we've been seeing entering the park over the past few park seasons. Does anyone have any questions on the intention behind this?
So are the boulders working? Or they're not there yet?
They're not there yet.
No, but at MLK, they're there.
Oh yeah,
correct?
MLK has been implemented. If you want to go and take a look at it, you have an idea. And as we kind of discussed as conversation just now, we will probably ask our operations team on whether any results has been seen with the boulders in place, and if people have been, I guess the other idea is to kind of shape people's behaviors to realize like, oh, I can't drive in the park anymore, I should do this. And eventually, hopefully that behavior can be shifted, and maybe in the future, if the boulders could be removed for make the park without boulders again.
And that's a good idea because then it's very important and you prevent some people anything, but.
Yeah, so that's absolutely the intention, safety first, and it's not the most pretty thing. So hopefully we will see how this project goes. And
See, is that the same spacing that they've decided for Riverside Park as well?
so the spacing actually varies based on the location. So I will go through in different sections. So that I basically split it up into 5 sections based on the entrance to the park. So 4 entrances and the middle part. So we'll zoom in a little bit, but the spacing are pretty much the same. So a person, and like Marian was saying, a bike would still go through, but a car or like an ATV cannot go through. So at Hodoling and Tonawanda, you would see here bollards are usually at pathways so that a truck or a car cannot drive on a pathway. That was one of the things that we've been seeing. But if let's say there's a special event happening in that park and they get permission from the city in Olmsted, the bollard can be removed so that they can have access into the park. So bollards are usually at a concrete platform. These little, what do you call it, kidney bean looking things, boulders. So you would see them all the way here, and they are at, for this site on Tonawanda is at a 4-foot separation.
Really say 5-foot maximum between boulders.
It says,
Yeah.
yeah, 5 feet maximum between boulders.
It's pretty wide.
That's pretty wide, you think?
5
Yeah.
feet is
Can you take notes?
60 inches is
And
as
then
big as that table.
Yeah.
But down below it says.
So any comments that you have for this, definitely share as much as you can, and we're gonna send it back to the project manager at the city, to the engineer at the city to
I think
assess.
it's okay for a car, but not for an ATV.
Okay, so 5 foot at Tono, do you feel like that is,
ATVs
It's-
are probably around 4 feet,
okay,
maybe even less.
I mean, I just feel like if anything, they
Keep it
should
a
be
bit
ADA compliant, that should be the spacing that should be allowed is ADA compliant.
That's
Yeah.
36 inches.
I
You
don't
know what I
remember,
mean?
36 inches.
that's a.
That's what it
shared-
would be. But I mean, 5 feet, like you said, is pretty large.
No,
Why
it's not
spacing?
too wide, don't listen, that's perfect.
Okay, so maybe take into
Point it to
account,
like a car.
spacing for
Question
ADA
is whether an
compliant
ATV.
What,
and ATV.
what, are we gonna keep the destroying the neighborhood worse and worse? Or not?
Well,
I think that's perfect, that idea that she has.
right, but then you also want to do the ATV, but since we're talking about the ATV, I'm new, not new in the district, but I'm running for this council seat. And that's one of the things when I was out there talking to the residents, because they're actually riding the ATVs on the street. I wanted to bring it to the council too. Did they ever think about a park or area where they can have them go, so they're not on the street? Is that a solution or something that should be brought up in regards to it?
Well, it's not part of the park, so
Excuse me?
it doesn't do with the park, so let's not discuss it.
Okay, well,
It doesn't, we're concentrating. on
okay,
the
but
park.
that was in your place to tell me. If anything, she should have said something like that, okay? But I just wanted to bring that, up in regards to it, in
Sure.
regards to you're trying to prevent them from riding it on the street, or like you just said, into the park, and bring up a solution where we can actually have them ride the bike, but are not actually riding them in the park or on the street. That is a solution. I'm a social worker. I'm all about finding solutions to problems.
No, I definitely, I agree.
But we can continue on doing discussion of what we came here for.
Thank you. No,
No,
I
you're
appreciate where
welcome.
you're coming from. So we will take into account the different vehicles. We'll also ask why the city put the 5 foot. I would like to know the rationale behind it. Maybe there's a reason and to close this time on ADA.
Could they put bushes or something between homes? Also by the playground. The playground, wait, run.
Hold on, let me. So where am I? Hoteling and Tonawanda. Okay, so
We
yes,
talked about doing something a little nicer at Esser,
at Esther.
and just piling up rock. Very-
That would have been the first one, correct?
Go back.
Yeah, go back. Esser hits right at that V,
Where the V is.
the V.
Oh, over here.
And see, there is a request out by OSP for crosswalks and enhancements along those at Usher and I think in Resch. So you may want to call and ask OSP what they're thinking, because they're gonna be redesigning what you're putting in there.
Crosswalks.
Crosswalks and entrances.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you just might want to check.
Okay, so check in with crosswalks as how they relate to this. project.
OSP put in a work grant.
Okay,
I think it's Black Rock grant, to do those particular entrances, so you might just want to coordinate.
sorry for my ignorance. What is OSP?
Office of Strategic Planning of the City of Alton.
Thank you.
No problem.
I didn't know there was an abbreviation.
No, that's okay, I'm sorry.
But
No,
now,
you're good.
we're trying to enhance the appearance of the entrance, so
Yeah, so,
everybody has enough positive about boulders.
okay, we will,
Thank you for your comment now. That's what we're here to give our opinion.
so going down Hoteling to Niagara over here, this was an addition from the spring. There wasn't boulders here in the spring. So they added it in and, it goes up here.
Where are we going?
Holding in Niagara.
Ice rink.
Okay, thank you.
There's this blue, it took me a minute, there's a blue to the ice rink. Bigger pool.
Yeah, and same thing, 6 feet from edge of pavement with a 5 feet max between boulders.
Smart.
So we'll check in on the spacing of the boulders, but this is design.
Could we cut the corner some more and move it angle? How would it look? Something
Cut it
talked- That's what something
What
talked
about you?
about, is, yeah, but. There's more bricks.
So you mean like that?
Yeah, some are pushing back.
I see, okay. Is there,
Why?
Yeah, why?
what would be?
Because it's another, first impression, thing. Driving the city, you can see the car.
Trying to soften it.
Do some
At least
landscaping
if
in
you
front
can
of
push
the
it
rock
back
in
a
the
little
corner
bit.
instead.
But
Saving two boulders.
That would take more time landscape.
Well, the other thing is that's a beautiful view of the river.
I
What
think
I'd
that looks
rather
good.
see than a line of boat. I know they're not very, right? But like, wouldn't it be nice if we had those Adirondack chairs there so we could sit and watch the sunset? Well, they last at canals. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can raise the expectation.
And they would have an option with the chairs or the boulders, because at Martin Luther King Park, they do sit on the boulders, because it's not a lot of benches there, especially when they have a larger event, so that is a good suggestion.
Or, yeah, I mean, it's just, it's one of the most beautiful views in the entire city. And it's the most, I'm gonna do.
Sure, I see what you mean. We will bring it back to the city, not too sure about how that fits into the city's goal for this project. But I definitely see where you're coming from, and, we'll ask them. And so any other questions on this part?
Hey, Z, for the people who haven't been to these meetings before, do you want to just talk really briefly about like the fact that you're here coordinating community input
Mhm.
for all of these city entities that have responsibility for different aspects of park maintenance and upkeep and improvements?
Yes, thank you, so
So
appreciate
why don't
that.
you just talk a little bit about what all those
The
other,
process.
yeah, what happens after you leave this meeting?
Okay, so basically, I'm so sorry, you're right, I should have done that and introduced myself. So, I'm with the Buffalo Olmsted Parks Conservancy. I have Beth Downing, my interim AD, as well as Joanne Forrest from the office as well. And we are here to, it's called we call it the Olmsted Community Alliance, that is basically segmented into 5 districts. Riverside Park is its own district. And the meeting is meant to update everyone on the projects and also address any concerns and communicate any updates that we previously shared at previous meetings, feedback that you gave. We brought it back to the city, and then here again, we're representing it again before implementation. That's pursued for this project. So following this meeting, what happens is we come together as a staff, collate the notes, the meeting notes, reach out again to Andy at the Deputy Commissioner for Parks, as well as the engineer at the city, to give them feedback on what you've brought up when it comes to projects or any concerns, or if it's concerns around safety and security, we'll bring it to the right department at the city of Buffalo. So you can call us the middle person, just like how the parks are the vessel for park users. You go to the park to enjoy yourself. We are stewards to maintain the park system for your use, from baseball to soccer to football or a special event.
I think you should.
I've been saying this for about 10 years now.
Mhm.
Are we ever going to fix the lighthouse? So it lights up again? It hasn't been lit for like 10 years, and I've been bitching about that for about 10 years now.
Okay, thank you. We'll put that in the notes as well. And so when it comes to projects, like larger projects like
It'll make
this.
the neighborhood look a lot nicer, is what I mean.
No, I hear you. And when it comes to larger projects, like the lighthouse restoration or maybe restoring a building, etc., we have a 5-year plan that we follow. And the 5-year plan, we are currently in the final year of our current plan, and we'll be re-engaging the 5-year plan for the following 5 years in 2024. So a project like that, if the Riverside community feels like this means a lot to you, this is something that we can consider and talk about.
Steve, this is
It'll make it look a
another-
lot nicer, trust.
This is another place where I think Olmsted can't act in isolation. I know you're a liaison, but we talked about the lighthouse.
Mhm.
The issue with the lighthouse is whether it's an arts council installation.
Right.
So you have to get arts council involved in the decision-making on where that priority is, because the arts council has an opinion on this.
Mhm.
So I don't know how you liaise with arts council or OSP, or, you know,
Yeah.
we're kind of left in isolation here without having those kind of we have these interactions in isolation, but they don't ever really come together.
Gotcha. And we do interact with those city departments
Right.
and depending on the project. So if it's related to an arts, like an arts project or an arts specific project, we do bring in the arts commission.
Okay.
For example, yeah.
So you
for
guys would do it,
Okay,
okay.
yes. And what was your other? Oh, Office of Strategic Planning, so
Yeah.
similar.
So,
Just for some of the people who haven't been here
Mhm.
before, excuse my folks. But the truth is, you have been coming to us, and we've all been working on this plan for a few years now. And we're zeroing in now and being implemented, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Daisy.
I know the hard work you're doing.
Thank you, that's very kind. Yeah, so hopefully, and we're trying to be more creative with community engagement as well, to hopefully engage a wider group of residents across the city of Buffalo and across the Riverside Park neighborhood. So feel free to share ideas. Yeah.
I know we're not,
Mhm.
do we want to talk about something in full, or do we?
Yes, we have that in the,
Okay.
in the, yes. Right, so next part will be, this is kind of the middle portion, and it's where the ice rink is and also where our staff garages are, so there's some boulders over there.
Are your staff on site year round?
Yes, so we have our district supervisor, Anthony, and his four-person and senior mower, so these three staff are there year round.
They're not physically on site though.
They're kind of like the office is in the Riverside Park
It is.
garage, yeah. Is that right, Beth?
Yes, that's right.
Like they gather there every morning too. Yeah. And at Crowley and Niagara, this is where. So the Crowley Niagara entrance here and the playground over there. Also installing boulders. So this one over here where there's a chain link fence is also a new addition. Sorry, a replacement of the chain link fence with like a nicer looking fence. Like an ornamental fence is what the city calls it.
Okay, it's been there exactly. You ready for this? It's been there exactly 24 years, because I put it in the day I moved in.
Oh, really? Hopefully the new fence looks,
Can you go back one?
yes, sure.
You had not probably in this place. There it is.
Yeah, so again, the pathways has bollards here, so entrance to the pathways and then borders for,
You gotta think about the corner again.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Highway rocks.
Yeah.
And you got your sign there, you got your sign there, too, so you really need to think about that.
Okay,
Again, you might wanna cut the corner.
Yeah, you were saying.
Yes, we want to keep everyone side our side.
Yeah.
It's for
yes, for sure, yes, okay. So we'll check in with Steve on what we can do with the corner, and I think one of you suggested flower beds, just like the sign, so there is an operational impact for flower beds and stuff like that, so we do have to check in with operations team, but that's just part of the process after we.
Can I ask you?
Yes, you first.
I just wanna ask,
Yeah.
just because I don't know what it means, but that little box up there that says 20 by
Oh, the
40
staging.
staging area, what is that?
So Beth and I think that we still need confirmation from the city, but we think it's a construction staging. But
Okay.
during the process of the construction.
Oh,
and-
okay,
But I think.
like the thing that's gonna
Yeah.
go there,
We
okay.
think so. So we did
My
have it.
corner.
They might dump their
No, they
rocks,
dump
might
their rocks,
park their-
okay.
Park their bobcat or things like that.
You don't realize that across my.
So it'll be, the parking spot is what I was assuming, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what these staging areas look like, so.
moves from section to section.
Yeah, they do it, yeah.
Yeah, we should we'll clarify more on that. We just sent an email to the engineer today, so once we get back from, once we hear back from him.
They're not gonna dump rocks there, the rocks will only be used once, yeah, it's a lot of.
I would think it would be a construction trailer for the
Yeah.
engineers to have their
Yeah.
paper.
Might be something to mention.
So we'll check in with him. Something more. We'll check in with him and. Gotcha. Okay. Check in with him and we'll let everyone know.
So what I was curious about is, I never knew, that cemetery, is it like a historic
The
cemetery?
St.
or is it
Francis
just-
Cemetery.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
asking my question.
Cemetery.
I'm still asking my question. Let me finish my question. The cemetery is a historic cemetery, is it still active, like people are still being buried there? Or is it-
Yes.
Yes, okay,
It is
so.
not historic as of yet. It is,
Okay.
yes, an active cemetery. It is owned by the diocese.
It's owned by the diocese. Is there a way to beautify the fences around the cemetery, because they're very rickety and rusty, and that, I know that it would be another collaboration with an agency, with an organization. The city probably, Olmsted probably is not responsible for those fences, but they look really run down, and I feel like that cemetery deserves some attention as well, so if you collaborate on that.
We will, I'm not honestly not too sure. This is one of those things where we wish we had a cool maintenance spot.
It's the
Yeah,
diocese,
I-
diocese of
Yeah.
Buffalo,
Yeah.
St. Francis Cemetery,
Mhm.
and they run it as part of their cemetery
Sure, yeah.
program. I was told if we want to engage them, we have to call the diocese of Buffalo as well as the parishes, the parish group, parish family that is responsible for that. So that would be probably a couple year long collaboration.
Okay,
Yeah, I would keep that the way it is,
Oh,
because that's the oldest Catholic cemetery in the city of Buffalo.
yeah.
I would just keep the fences the way they are, but I wouldn't touch them.
We could get new
If-
brought iron cemetery, because
It deserves, it wouldn't affect the grading itself, but like, just to give
I
it
think
to
it looks
honor.
unique the way it does right now. I would just keep the fences the way they are.
I think ultimately, if it's because it's owned by the diocese,
Right.
it will probably be something that they would have to initiate if they ever want to do something, they will reach out. And I'm sure they have.
But on the other hand, they might have just like, not realized the effect or impact that it has on visitors to the park.
Sure.
Because it's kind of like sad to see that.
I think it's
Rather see
unique,
it.
actually. I really do.
Yeah, oh, there's a couple of chairs there.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we will note that down as well. So before I continue, any other questions on this project specifically?
Yeah.
Yes.
When I look at the playground,
Mhm.
they have a fence on. Okay, but I'm just wondering if they didn't kind of put a fence on the other side, just a small fence. That would discourage the motorcyclists scaring the tar out of kids and terrorizing them on their bikes.
So, you're saying over here? I mean, that's the fence here,
Yeah, it's a fence.
and you're
Maybe
saying you want.
leading to the big diamond.
Yeah.
So leading from where where your finger was down towards like Crowley and Niagara is what she means, almost leading into Diamond One off of baseball.
Because you don't want the lip, what it is, it's,
what happened?
So it would include that map and the previous map that you just had.
you could put a boulder there.
Yeah. See where those 6 boulders are planned?
You could
Up
put,
more, up,
Oh,
right there, yes.
So you would extend the fence?
You trying to prove your view there, Jackie?
well, yeah, all the time, I mean, come on. The thing is, I worry about the little guys running out.
Sure, okay. I see
My
what you mean.
concern is Because they'll get away from their parents, and I'm telling you, they're being runners.
So you're saying to, so there is a pathway here, so you come back south. And so I don't know what that looks like.
If they would put like one of those black boulders there, they might.
Yeah. Bollards.
Bowers.
So there is.
I can never-
They're putting two bollards right there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's sure, but they, let me check the previous one, is there a?
It would just be a protection mechanism.
Yeah, there's
for
no
the
children area there.
And
So
here's
there is no
a
ball out.
signs that say there's a playground here.
Is that place?
Okay, so there is, I don't think there seems to be a bulwark here. So maybe you can add
Yeah,
a
there's not one
bulwark
there.
here. So
They're
there is
pointing at
two
my car,
bulwarks
thank
here.
you.
So, I don't know how you would describe this.
So like between the fence and then there's two
Yeah.
bollards.
So bulwark here and,
Missed it.
so how do you guys feel about Jackie, about the extending the fence, so removing these bulwarks and
I
extending?
think we extend the fence much further, it provides too much barrier to pedestrians who want to get into the park.
No,
Just on the grass.
I was just thinking between the fence and the boulder where that site, at least sighted shack's gonna be in front of my house. Put the bollard right there.
Okay, so put a bulwark here.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
And it
we
would
can-
tear the kids too, because they automatically stop children.
Sure, okay, we'll check in with the city on that.
I think the thing that we all need to think about though is, you know, it's a playground and just on the other side of that fence or those boulders is parking lot. And, you know, these
Thank you.
kids come darting out between the boulders and they're going into a parking lot in Crowley Avenue. And so, you know, I don't think additional fencing is a bad idea because it would prevent them from running into cars that may be turning into a parking space or whatever. So I think if you're gonna fence something, that whole section where the playground is, like
Right.
all the way on past what is currently the pool and soon to be splash pad, I think that it should just extend all the way.
How is that any different than it is?
So you mean extending the fence here?
There's a fence there.
There's a fence there now
There's a
on
fence there.
There's a
the
fence
baby
there.
pool.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
not gonna be a fence.
but there's nothing now showing where the pool is, which is gonna ultimately be the splash pad.
There's a fence.
But
For the-
not
for the
on
pool.
that there isn't. Are you just leaving that fence? Or are you gonna put in?
For the
these-
So,
plan.
for
Are you
this
gonna
one,
Where
put
the
in the
pool
new
is.
or
Where the
in
pool is.
Leave the fences there.
so actually, I think for the
Because
pool, for the splash pad project, that fencing could probably be part of the splash pad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's under a different.
So, and that
load.
could be one of the priorities and, we can tell the city when the project is in the.
It just needs to look consistent.
Right, I hear you. Okay.
That's what
So let me clarify, so we are good with this fence,
Mhm.
consider putting a wall up here,
Mhm.
and the rest are okay.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
But
None of them.
Down along the
Or
way.
the ornamental fencing, it better not be flat. Because kids stick their heads through stuff and
You'll
get
just have the
stuck.
oranges. If you think I
Okay. I don't think I've seen any design for the fence, but we can ask Steve as well. So
Just
design
keep
of the
that in
fence.
mind.
Yes, to make sure the kids can squeeze. All right, are we good to move on next?
Yes.
All right. So the next thing is wayfinding and signage project. We are currently, okay, the project includes a few different categories of signage from directional park ID. Park ID is basically at the entrances of the parks. Regulation, which is rules and guidelines, and interpretive signage. So the phase one, which is currently in production, is for park ID signage, and these are all basically refurbishing the existing park signs. So you probably have seen some beautiful new signs in Riverside Park. So these are all the new ID signs, and I'm just gonna go through it real quick. So for this year, the plan is to have refreshing 5 existing signs, which means replacing them with the new colors, brighter and more attractive colors. And these are this, 2, 3, 4, and this one here. This one is currently in the works. Yeah, and probably almost done by this next few weeks. And then the ones in the yellow circle are new signs so there's no existing sign, but those will be installed as part of this year's phase.
Beautiful.
Yes, so I'll just go through what these are. So the ones that have been refurbished are these 4 specific locations, which is all at 3 of them are the entrance of the park and 1 is for the playground.
Yes.
Hodeling and Niagara, Crowley and Niagara, Crowley Playground, picture of the fence that we were talking about.
Nice fence.
And the Crowley Tonawanda entrance. And this is the new sign that will be installed at Tonawanda and Baldwin.
Nice.
Beautiful.
So this one is probably by end of this year.
Are those other signs, this is like a Photoshop?
This is the main, mock-up.
Right, so, cause there's another sign
On
there,
that city of Buffalo side, it'll be in front of
will
that.
that be removed, or 'cause it's kind of like blocking?
The city of Buffalo.
You see the sign that's there that's facing the other way?
That's the city of Buffalo sign in front of it.
That's like a rural sign or something?
Oh,
Like the one that's gray on it. Yeah, the.
The gray.
Show gray one.
You see?
Right in.
Just see what's behind it.
First,
Right there.
we're taking the back. on the existing sign.
That might be great where.
Are they gonna remove that?
Thank you, that I have worked. Because okay, I have no idea, so, Beth, do you have any?
I don't.
Okay.
That's a really good point. I'm writing it down to talk to them.
Really, well, it's probably the rules, like.
And it-
you know,
Just like-
Walk down the stairs, plus the city.
It's just, yep, city of Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a.
Oh, across the street.
Okay.
So
they might be-
we like your sign. Your sign.
Okay, we will check in with.
Yeah, we're fine, or there was a few.
Remove it. Put a boulder with the painted to city of Buffalo.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Okay, yeah, so we'll check in with the city on that. And as part of this project, there is, like I was saying earlier, there are a few other categories of signs, including directional regulation. So maybe this was part of the plan. We're not too sure, but we will check in.
Oh, one more little thing.
Yes.
We have to make sure that it's not blocking the view when people are turning, if there's like a bicycle coming, like, you know, the turning lane, like if you're trying to
Mhm,
turn right there or turn left,
sure,
it's not blocking the view.
for this, okay,
For
the
people turning.
signs are, so all of the signs that we just mentioned just now are existing signs. Only this one is a new one, so we'll note that down and check in with the designer as well.
And I go back to, are you gonna mark the crosswalks? You know, like coming out of the playground,
Mhm.
so.
For the
people know
striping?
They can't, yeah, people can't
Crosswalks
park there.
So crosswalks are DPW, I believe, so you're referring to crosswalks by the playground?
Yeah, just, well, you know,
It's another instance where you have to coordinate.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we can definitely relay that, so as part of our notes to the city, we'll relay that, so you're saying the crosswalks to go to the playground?
Yep.
For opportunity for striping, okay, maybe they can be part of the grant that you were mentioning.
You need to find
Yeah,
out.
we'll check in. Right, so the next thing that we really wanted to get your input on, and if you don't have anything to share right now, that's okay, you can always email me after, or you can write it on the board outside before you leave, is what you would like interpretive signage to have when you go to Riverside Park. So an interpretive signage is basically a sign that has a narrative, like a story. So think about it as, these are some questions that you can prompt questions, or think of it as, if you have a friend from out of town coming to Riverside Park, what do you want them to learn after they read a sign? Like what is yes,
How have they held up in other parks? Because we have had great difficulty with those type of interpretive signs being damaged.
sure,
There's a bunch in the neighborhood and we keep ending up having to either replace them, or, George Washington Park signs. Right, they've been destroyed multiple times at this point.
Are they basically taking them out or
They're
withdrawing?
cutting them up, they're scraping all the tag and on Jesse Kriegel. They went so far as to take a knife and scrape it out.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
those
we
are the
will,
ones that were in Jesse Kriegel. So I just don't know.
They also have, even if they're not damaged, they have a tendency to fade over time.
Yep.
I noticed that in some parts, you can't even read them anymore, some sunlight just beats on.
I
yeah.
just don't know how they behave.
You also, with the signs, you also have to understand, we live by the river, the winds themselves. You know, look at the trees sometimes, there's one tree that falls this way.
Sure.
See, can we talk about, different languages?
Yes, absolutely. So hold on one second.
Maybe
Riverside
it's
Park,
something extremely simple, but welcome to Riverside Park in multiple languages.
yep, thank you. So Riverside Park is by the river, weather should be
Like
actor.
about 8 different speakers.
They could put like QR codes to also different languages
Sure.
of whatever
Yeah.
information is on there.
Good idea.
You know, so like, you know,
That's
Espanol,
space.
that one, you know,
Yeah, that's great. Idea.
or Arabic, or Chinese.
So let me know if I'm not accurately writing these down. So how can we implement translated and interpretive signage? Use QR codes or titles in other languages. All right, did you have any input on the content? Like, what is Riverside Park special? Like, what's
Birds.
the birds? Okay, so nature, ecology.
Yes, there you go, so.
That was
Well, it's
just
just the history, you said it's the oldest
Sorry?
park in the city.
Yes, I
That's
did.
It's the last.
No, the cemetery.
Oh, the cemetery.
Yeah, that's the oldest, Catholic cemetery.
you know, interesting to note that Olmsted Park is on one side of the park, and Riverside Park is on the other side of the park.
So
Say
the
that again?
connection of
Say that
the
again?
parts.
Yeah, that
The
doesn't make
parks
sense.
were connected, right, years ago.
Mhm.
It's always an interesting fact, people find facts like that.
Oh, I know.
That's
the
the middle
history of
Well, Riverside Park, let's see, 1954 gives me a say in this. About the park.
So I wanted to emphasize that the interpretive signage are not so much of directional. There won't be as many cluttered throughout the park. There will probably be, I don't know, maybe one or two locations where there's amounts of information on the sign that is an accessible location for people to go and see, and then the park would not be cluttered with signs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
See, you have, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
the Erie Canal is something of historical note, and the highway, you know, how it transformed from the canal to the highway. It's an important historical note, and it's right there, you can see it.
Or
Front Park has a very nice sign about the casino that was there.
Right.
We had a beautiful casino where it's circulating, basically.
What about history of like all the
Riverside,
the
sorry.
sports clubs that have been there all these many, many years?
so athletic,
Like the athletic. kind of
History.
legacy.
am I sounding-
Legacy.
history and leagues, legacy. Thank
How long
you.
is the?
Is there any tie-in with the park, with the underground railroad?
So we used to be on lawn, so we've been around, I mean, I found articles way back from what I was told. I heard, obviously, our branding is 1960, but I found articles in the early 1900s that say that they're on lawn. So, I mean, over 100 years from based on articles that I've been able to research.
That's
Well, those
Wow.
fields
Yeah.
are literally open 24 years ago.
When we came over from lawn,
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
You don't
But
put a
there
select,
used to be a professional league that practiced baseball at Riverside Park years ago, back in the 30s.
I think the Skura and the, Farrell families
were the original founders of the newer Little League in the fifties. And there's still excursions like from Neutrinos and,
Right across the way.
Farrell's from, Race Street. So they might have some information as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I know,
those-
I know the Sura family
Okay,
personally.
how do I
so
spell
can-
that? I'm sorry.
Skura.
That started
The
little.
Little League.
Okay. Yeah, so like things like that, if there are photos or little quotes or stories that we can potentially consider for implementation in a sign, I think it will make the signs meaningful to the park, right? Education for the younger generation and also for the new immigrants that are coming to learn about why this park matters. So there is some time, not a lot of time, but there is some time to think about this. And if you have any questions, to reach out or send me notes like, oh, you should really have this in a sign. Just let us know and we will put it in to our consultant.
We'll do some signage about like the type of trees that are in the park and like the rock bed garden area, some of the native plants that are in there and like the purpose and why it's dry bed. Because everybody, I think, keeps expecting water to be flowing through there, at least at one point it did. But, there's a purpose why that reside was done and environmentally why it's significant.
Sure, thank you.
That's not exactly signage, and I don't know if you're gonna talk more about the playground,
Yeah,
but like,
and
are you gonna talk more
the
about the playground
playground.
itself?
I can't think of the history on the playground.
They should have never torn the old
I'm
ones
just
out.
saying, like, in the
That
playground,
would so much
it would be
nicer.
nice, to put some art interpretive like experience for the kids, like, I went to Chestnut Ridge the other day and they remodeled the playground there.
gotcha. Yep.
And they've got drums and they've got like art things.
Yeah,
that
it's
the
a like
kids
the
can
the new
try.
inclusive playground.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's any plan for that on this.
Okay. Yeah, there's currently no plan for that for any new playground at Riverside, but we will put it down and ultimately it's creating inclusive playgrounds is a long-term
Incorporate the
project.
splash pad.
Right. So we can definitely consider that for the next project. Yeah.
Some of that stuff is, Chestnut Ridge is already damaged. I think one of the drums is, the top is ripped.
Where?
And Chestnut Ridge is part
I
of the
was
talking about.
just there, the other day, it was not like,
Really? Or maybe they fixed it.
You know,
I was there on Sunday.
there
Or a
is,
couple months ago.
I see the real stuff.
it's new.
Oh, that's a big pool,
The old
huh?
swimming pool
13 feet.
and the splash pad, they was oval, the size of Martin Luther King, and it had a great sledding hill.
Really? Wow. I never knew that. Okay.
And they did Balkan Avenue exit, they took all that dirt and dumped it in and filled up the pool.
Riverside Pool is pretty them up.
Oh.
Yes, and believe me, I'm still upset over
Yeah,
it.
we're not ranking about it, so this is.
Yes.
Okay. Is it the middle pool or is it a different pool? Oh, okay.
Where
Thank you.
the
Yeah, we're
baseball
looking.
diamonds are, was
I see. Okay.
And the hill.
And the hill. Okay.
the biggest pool, when you walk along the cemetery, those rocks there.
So basically the historic amenities in the.
It's just gonna make people crankier now.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, I kind of gave that up. I was trying to figure
I
out-
will, I mean,
I remember the hotel, for down my aunt's house on it.
All right, girl.
so ultimately the signs are only like a fixed size, so we have to think about how to prioritize
Page 12.
information, so. Right. So it would, like the consultant does a wonderful job at balancing information to make sure the narratives make sense for the people who visit the park, right? So more to come on that. This is a pretty early phase and also we are contingent on funding. We do not have funding for this phase yet. So more information to come. I will go move on to the next part. So this project, the Crowley Wading Pool to Splash Pad project, a very quick update. funding has been allocated by the city, they're committed. And right now, the city of Buffalo is in the process of engaging an A&E firm to, what do they do? To take charge of the project, I guess.
Does
Yeah.
the city have the funding aside?
There is funding allocated based on what we know so far.
Okay, great.
Yes,
Thank
so
you.
the city of Buffalo is engaging an A&E firm, and then design phase will be in 2024 with an estimated completion in the following season.
That, I think part of the question with this is the scope of it,
Mhm.
because I think at one point we had talked about trying to include the corner
Mhm.
and then coming all the way back, so engaging an A&E firm and not understanding the scope of the project might be a problem.
The corner will be
The corner,
like Vulcan and, Tonawanda and Crowley.
yep, going all the way to the corner and redesigning, the lighthouse and trying to include some of that. So how big is the footprint?
Sure, okay, we can ask that question. So this is a city-led project, so in this case, like everyone was saying just now, we are a stakeholder as well as the caretakers of the park. So we will ask the questions relating to park maintenance and also park use, and we can also question about the scope of the project.
Andy had said that he would get back to us, but we don't have any dates or anything.
Okay. This is all the information we have so far.
I know.
So, but any questions, we can put in the notes and follow up.
And can you put in a request for like a community meeting about the design once the A&E firm is selected?
We can put it in the notes as well. That's a good point. Thank you.
And have they trimmed the trees around the lighthouse back so that the sight line should be 6 feet so you can see clearly at the lighthouse?
Okay,
They need to be trimmed.
I'm not too
That's a-
sure. Yeah, I
read
will.
that in the criminal course, I just.
Oh, no.
Didn't.
Thank you. Yep, we will put that down in the notes. Thank you.
What about the homeless that are sleeping in that park? Like, it doubled, last year was not as many. This year it doubled, like,
Yeah,
they got tents and everything.
our staff are facing the same issues, and I would say if you do see a homeless person, call 311. If it's in a dire situation, call 911. It is one of those things where the more calls that is put in, the more that is recorded in the city, the more there's police presence. So please do that, and we will do our due diligence.
We were talking about, you just talked about social work and social work intervention. There was a team, there was a SWAT team that was going out talking about the homeless. Do we know who to call, or you guys don't know, right?
No,
The
so it's like a
211.
social services team
Well, behavioral team is what they.
or behavioral? team?
Right, but, the 211 will be able to assist.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yes, council member.
I believe it was through Chief Fahey at D District, because he received quite a few calls and complaints, as did my office. And when I was talking to him, he mentioned that they would do what they could with the behavioral health team to go out there, because they can't be there after 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, the park is officially closed. So at that point, they can legally check people out of the park. But, prior to that, like, we get calls about the shelter all the time. And if they're not doing anything, there's nothing that the police department can do,
Mhm.
except look at them or whatever. They can't just go and say, hey, we don't like that you're here, get out. But after 9, 10 o'clock, or if there are tents and things like that set up, then the police can go and address that. But they can't just, like, I've had people that want them to get arrested, they can't do that.
Yeah, strictly.
So yes.
Arrest them.
Are there any question, are there any homeless shelters or services in Riverside? Like directly?
They're usually downtown, and they need to have them in all areas on this. So that's something.
I think that's
Salvation Army, that's only one I.
Arts of Homeless actually has a team too. And they tend to, I called Sky a couple of times and said something, he's on, check.
And during the like emergency winter things, can that community center in the park be shelter? So
It's not a community center.
No, that's
It's
what
a
I'm
building.
Samba is in there and there's nothing that's available.
And that's something the common council should be addressing, especially when we need plans, you know, in regards to the last storm we had, that's something they need to.
Do you want to add anything else, Beth, about this?
No, just, system-wide, we've had vandalism problems, I'm sure you've heard on the news. And just, we're asking the community to just, keep their eyes and ears open, and if we see something, call 911. The more reports we get, the more likely we it's.
I think we had asked at the last meeting about cameras.
Right, cameras.
Is there any updates on that? We specifically asked at the playground to have them up.
Okay,
And then what about cameras that have the face recognition, because your Google doorbell has the face recognition, because a lot of people do wear the hoodies, but they're actually able to detect if they're showing some part of their face, so cameras would think.
Big brother, that's what we need, yeah.
We're all on the same level.
But we had specifically.
Sure,
asked
I
about that, and
recall
I don't
that.
remember if that was an Andy response or something. We really-
okay, so let me just make sure we get it right. So cameras at the playground area and,
Yes.
It would most
Basically,
likely
we were
probably be on the
children.
building that's there.
okay, yeah, I'm not sure where the conversation landed, so let us check in. Alright, so next part is more an update. So these are the list of special events that occurred at Riverside Park this year and one coming up in the years. So pretty good range. The Union Night was pretty huge. And of course, we had a movie night as well. That was a good success. So we are hoping to, and then the bike tour event on July 8th was with Explore Buffalo. So we are hoping to see how Riverside Park can evolve to host more special events. It's a wonderful space and great for the community. And it's really nice that the Korean community, the Burmese community is also choosing this park to have their cultural events there.
Yeah, that food was excellent.
Most of it. Yeah. Really good.
So yes,
So how do you get, like, 'cause there used to be things in the park, there were, I think there was like a food house, the farmer's market, but I don't know what happened to that, but like in Kenmore, for example, there's lots of things that happen in your little square, and our space is way better. So how can we attract, or what is the process for getting people to wanna host things,
sure.
diverse things in that park?
Yeah, so ultimately so for example, a farmer's market would go through a special events process as well. It will be a recurring special event permit, like the farmer's market on Bidwell or
So
South
like music,
Buffalo.
anything?
Yeah, so they all have special events permit. The process is standard across all city parks and it's pretty much apply through the city. Olmsted is a stakeholder in the approval process. We will work as best as we can with the team and with your team to see how we can host your event. There are different areas of factors like operational capacity, making sure that you're not clashing with another existing special event. If it's food related, to bring in the health department. So there's different factors there. And it's definitely possible. It's just who would be willing to fundraise for it or have money and capacity to do it.
4th of July used to be, and that should be 4th of July.
Friendship Festival.
60
Yeah, sure.
60 years event until the guy ran out of money.
Oh my gosh.
That's what really happened.
So last year was that 2013, I remember.
Yes, yes.
Sadly.
And we used to have a parade.
The fireworks show was beautiful.
That was in 1953, 1954. I got the papers at home, the corporation papers. But it was a beautiful event for years and years and years.
Okay.
But
But I guess kind of to piggyback on Brittany's question, like what can be done to market to organizations who might want to host something in the park, the fact that you can do your events in the park.
Sure. Yeah.
Is there a campaign or can there be a campaign, to get to attract more people? Because I think we do our run there and, people come into the park and they're like, what a great place to do, to be a start and a finish point for a 5K. And, yes, it's a process, you have to have the insurance and you have to go through all that paperwork and, your event plan and all of that. But there's a lot of groups doing things in other parts of the city. Why can't they come to our community too?
Sure.
And even just, organizations within our community who don't know that they can host something there. They can't just randomly go and start setting up tents and things like that because other people use the park and.
One of the biggest limiting factors, so you have to figure.
Right, you have so many people, you have to have a porta potty for like every 100 people.
Well, if you're in
Things like that.
Probably not in the school.
But again, can there be like some kind of a campaign or some kind of information more broadly spread that this is an opportunity?
Sure.
And the more people that come into our community for events, the more they see what else is here, they start, buying ice cream at the ice cream store and going to the restaurants or the bars to have a drink after the event or, and then seeing really what is in the area that they can, and then that gives them another reason to come back.
It really isn't easy to do an event in that park.
Well, I spoke to the owner of the Sun Restaurant. He actually did participate in the Riverside event. And he was very upset that apparently someone watched him, how his generator was in a truck. Wait till he got back to the establishment and stole his generator. The generators are not cheap. And he said he loved the fact that he did do the event because the people, like you just said, love the food. But whoever was at the park watched them, saw how the generator was placed in his truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But we really do need to think about that, because it's not easy to do an event in the park.
Yep.
There are no bathrooms, there is no access to any kind of like washing facility, water. Even the parking becomes somewhat of an issue, so you're inviting people in, but you have always.
Yeah.
And I don't
exactly.
know how it is in other parks. I mean, when MLK has something, do they open up the center?
No, they have the porta potties.
They do the porta potties as well.
Right, but then
Okay.
retail, like South Buffalo always has some Casanova Park, they always have something, so what I would do if I want something like that, reach out to them and see how they're doing it.
Can't
And then,
the facilities open?
what I'm saying, when they have big events, is what they sometimes have their porta potties there too, because.
So
they-
porta potty is actually part of the city permit. No matter what, even if there's a shelter building with bathrooms, if your special event has over X number of people, you have to have a porta potty.
They
So
have,
that is.
yeah, they have to have security, believe me, I know to run the court. You have to have security, you have to have street closing permits, you have to have signage. You have to have porta potties, you have to have garbage cans.
Yeah, it takes a
You
lot.
have to have fencing, you have to have, you can't have propane. And everybody that's there has to have permits for each tent. It's a long process, but it's a beautiful thing if it all comes together.
Yeah. I guess the way to do it is for organizations to collaborate together, share the load, like finding ways to lighten the load. Like if you're gonna have an event, I'm saying this as a suggestion for special event organizers. If you know that you're gonna have an event on one day, maybe collaborate with another organization that can have an event on the next day, and you can share a permit. If you can share the porta potties, like something like that, to be creative around that. This is ultimately a city process. This is not just for Riverside Park or any specific park. Every city park has to go through the same process. So we have staff that is familiar with the process, and my colleagues, they do an amazing job at making sure that your needs are met. Like we answer your questions, we meet you in the park for a walkthrough. We tell you like you can do this, you can do that, and to help you make sure that your permit gets approved. So hopefully that is a way that we are trying to make it a little bit easier. It's still complicated, but we're trying. Yeah.
Well, like you said, you go to your site, you'll have a list of what you need to do in regards to starting the event, because I actually was going to do an event and it showed me what I needed in order to have that event.
Yes, so we're trying to be more user-friendly, to make it more user-friendly, because it is a very complicated process. But then there are other things where other ways to bring people in. I guess it's building relationships, right? So building relationships with the Quran community, the different refugee groups and block clubs and then from there, letting them know like you can actually do this in Riverside Park, or maybe I can say let's collaborate on the movie and things. So work in progress.
That's right.
Yes.
It's slow and short.
Yes,
How was the movie night? Did you get a good attendance this year?
I think so. Joanne,
Oh,
there was like over 100 people there.
Oh,
Like, it was,
the weather was,
it was perfect.
yeah, last year's was very cold.
So the weather, oh my God.
Yeah.
And this year's movie night, actually great segue. So this is our 2023, some of the programming partners for the year, and this year's movie night was in partnership with the Conservancy Society of Buffalo. One of our efforts to really get to know the Burmese and community a little bit better. So it takes time, every relationship does, right? So hopefully through this movie night, it was an opportunity to get more of the community out into the park for free activity, get to know them, and Joanne was there herself, she led the event, so yeah, it turns out a great turnout, and we really look forward to more of such partnerships in the future. So these are some organizations that we work with throughout the park system when it comes to like environmental invasive species stuff, guided tours, nonprofit panels, more like engagement projects, and also with the Audubon Society on like birding and different activities. So if you have any ideas on an organization that might like to just chat and explore ideas and collaborations, tell them to reach out to us. Okay. All right, upcoming volunteer opportunities. We had to get this out there. So if you're interested, this is every Thursday in October and November for volunteering to clean up I think we are focusing on the River Rock Garden and maybe some fall cleanup in these dates. So these are the ones coming up.
Clean would be nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, grew up.
So the crew has been doing a great job, and also volunteer events have been a great turnout so far. So over here is a QR code if you want to scan it, or the link. And that's me, there's Joanne. So Joanne, yes.
just make a comment. You guys plant perennials every year. Is there a reason why you're not using perennials or sustainable, natural? You're planting echinaceas rather than planting annuals. It just seems.
So I don't have the answer to that either, but we can.
Well,
check it.
it seems like a waste in some sense.
Sure.
Because you're buying and planting, or you're using, I know you're using the MLK greenhouse, I think. But, we don't plant.
Yeah.
Anymore, we plant perennials.
Right, sure. I think there has to be a good reason. I just don't know the answer. So let us check.
They come and go with seeds every months in the summer. So like some of your perennials don't bloom until September. And that's why you have like the geraniums for a while, and marigolds.
Yeah, but they can do succession planting, so, they have something in bloom all year, a lot.
Sure. I mean, we are in the process of really reassessing our horticultural practices. So this is something that we will consider.
Why do you have the volunteer opportunities on Thursday mornings as opposed to the weekends when more people will be available?
So there's, this is all, a lot of these are corporate groups that come out. So they come out during the workday, actually. Yeah. And so, yeah, but if they're.
Yeah, y'all boys sit down weekend, I'd be able to do it.
So so also we have a one-person volunteer coordinator. She, thank goodness, just hired her assistant. So I'll definitely check in with her because her weekends are often have other volunteer events as well. So this one is a recurring. She has been having Thursdays as the designated day for Riverside Park for several months throughout the summer already. So that's probably why. But if this group here, Riverside Park neighbors, might be interested in a weekend where we can come together, I think this is something that we can definitely consider.
Yeah, Thursday, I got work, every week, otherwise I would help out.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
And a lot of those people that volunteer are like from M&T Bank, because my son's volunteered at local Edge, and they get the day off to go volunteer and then they can go home.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The struggle with individual volunteer events is people sign up but they don't turn up.
Yeah.
So our volunteer coordinator is there on a Saturday morning and there's no one, or like there's one person. So it's hard because ultimately everyone's a volunteer. We are grateful just because you're willing to do it. So it's just a tough call between that. Whereas corporate groups and block clubs and like groups they show up, like they're reliable in terms of getting the work done when in a set period of time. So some photos and also bench staining. So Joanne is our gift coordinator. I'll share a little
Yeah,
bit.
sure. So I at Riverside, help with the commemorative program. So the benches that are in the parks are actually up for commemorating, so you can honor someone through a bench, trees as well. So I've been helping this year stain with a couple of volunteers, as you can see. It's a great way to feel more empowered and get to know your park a little bit more, and then just walk by the bench and be like, yeah, I did that. So we have to stain the benches every year, so I'm really trying my best to get that going. So if you guys know anyone who's wants to do a little painting, let me know, but it feels really good. So other than that, if you want to have a particular bench to call your own, definitely let me know as well.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of my presentation. Any
Nice
questions?
job.
Thank you.
The 5-year plan is coming up.
Yes, yes.
Where are the opportunities we talked about? Over the course of the next time?
Hello.
I want to go back to the pool. So we fought very hard to have the pool open this year.
Mhm.
The only one of 4 in the city that was open. Can we find out the statistics of how many people use the pool?
Okay,
We're still waiting for the statistics on the hockey use.
sure.
We never got those back from anybody.
So would that be under hashtag heroes?
I don't know who it's
Okay, we can check.
we need to know who's using and how many people are using
Yep.
these facilities. The big pool was one thing, the baby pool has been shut down. Is there an opportunity to rethink that pool? Maybe we don't need that pool if we open the splash pad.
Sure.
So if you're planning over the course of the next 5 years, how do we begin to that discussion?
Yep, for sure. No, this is all great, right on track with where we want to have that conversation too. We are starting the 5-year planning process. We're coming together internally
Right.
in late fall, winter this year, and probably as part of OCA next spring to launch the 5-year plan process. There might be a survey that comes out earlier. We are still working on that.
That's
So
one part of it, but you
Yes.
know, you and I both know it's all about the dollars.
yes, absolutely.
So we can have our vision, but how do we make sure that we have an allocation of dollars for Riverside Park? Because we did not get a very big allocation of dollars over the past 5 years, and we want a lot more money this time around. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. You have to advocate for your part. No, I
Because
get
it's
you.
all about the dollars, so if
Sure.
we're not getting, if you don't have, X number of $100,000 to spend, or, you're only gonna get this many, you get one big project.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of work to do, but we have no idea what those dollars are.
Okay, and also a lot of the 5-year plan projects are not funded when they are in the 5-year plan. We fund as we go. I think Beth might be able to speak more to that as well, but a lot of the projects are only executed once we have funding.
But it's when it jumps from Olmsted to the city that it becomes, because like the splash pad is not an Olmsted project, it is
Sure.
a city project. And we need to know the difference in how to implement those changes. This is our top priority. It's not an Olmsted project. We love you. We don't need your Olmsted dollars this year. We need city dollars.
Got it. So you want to know who to reach out to?
Well, we need to plan it first so that we know what we want, and then that portion of where does the money come from?
And then can I make a suggestion too? I just graduated from Upper State University in my graduate program, public administration, one class I did very well. And like I said, I am running for this council seat. They have grant money. If you go to grant.gov, there's corporations, agencies that are willing to fund like park projects. There was a project in West Seneca. There was a agency that actually paid for that. So if you really want money, you can do it yourself. You don't even have to have.
You have to hit the cities and put it in. You can't do it
Well,
yourself.
not what I'm saying, you can look and see if there's an agency that's willing to donate, and yes, the city of course would have to be involved because it's the Freddie property. So what I'm saying, you can see what money is out there.
There's money out.
Exactly, so that's what I'm just.
But somebody's gotta write the grant, somebody's gotta get the grant, somebody's gotta implement the grant, somebody's gotta
Absolutely,
finish the
yeah.
grant, and somebody's gotta get the
That's
grant,
Dan,
and city,
that's
and you're gonna
Dan.
have the plan.
Yes.
So
They do that for the alliance. and it's just
Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot
community.
more involved, it's a multi-year project.
And it can be done, so that's.
So through the
Yeah.
engagement
Yeah.
process for the 5-year plan, we will together identify with your priorities. So what are your community priorities for the next 5 years, right? And that's what the 5-year plan is. Of course, there's all this funding stuff and city priorities.
Thank you for, it's my first time coming, it was my first time coming, thank you for having me, I enjoyed the information, and I will pass it on. You guys have a good night, okay?
You too, thank you.
Like facilities, like camps, like bike facilities.
Bike facilities.
We have agreed with, there's no facilities,
Mhm.
Riverside Park should be that.
The
Stopping
connection.
point for bikes.
Yeah. And there aren't bike racks currently in the park, are there by the playground?
Say the question again.
Are there bike racks over by the playground? No.
There was, but I don't think there currently is. There was a green thing over there, but I don't think it's currently still there. I don't remember seeing it.
I thought that was bikes, bikes.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it this year now that I think about that.
Yeah.
Sounds like the
Yeah,
Riverside,
you-
why can't we have it, there's none in Riverside?
Say that again.
Maybe we have Ready bikes in the park?
Oh, Ready Bikes.
Why
Oh,
can't we-
Ready Bikes is a different situation because it's a privately owned thing, so it can't be in any public park.
But yeah, but bike racks are part of this, kids are riding their bikes to football practice.
Oh, the
baseball
bikes are
practice,
getting thrown there
and
left
they're
and
just throwing them around,
Yeah,
they're
we need
trying to
bikes.
chain them to fences or whatever, there's only $5 and then they come out and practice and their bikes are gone.
Yeah, no, I completely, and a lot of kids bike in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
kids
yeah.
bike in
And
that
I think,
neighborhood.
you know, like, if you look down on a lot of the bike paths along the trailways, you know, every once in a while, there'll be a bike fixing station where there's like, the tools are attached right to it, and it's very simple, very plain, but you know, you get a flat tire and you don't have the right tools, you can use these tools right there. And having one in the park would be
The outer part
great.
was sure.
Yeah, they have a great, yeah,
So
they have a
so
great.
you just have to find out who the state's buying them from.
Yeah.
Seriously, they have them,
Yep.
they're.
Thank you.
And then you have Bill Conrad to buy us one for Riverside Park.
There you go.
Ready, ready to go.
So the 5-year planning process is, we're in planning phase and we'll let everyone know once we're ready for community engagement. But in the meantime, think of your, yeah. In the meantime, think of your priorities. Any other questions so far?
No.
Thank you so much.
Build those walls, because those are really nice.
This is the River Rock Bridge.
All around the park, all around the
I
park.
don't know about that. I don't even know who built this.
We do got beautiful.
And I'm just gonna put in a shameless plug for our environmental safety series, which is starting on Saturday. Our first one is, I'm gonna be talking along with, Bridge Route from the Clean Air Coalition about the 2